my only ask is that you guys share this. Obviously, it's free, and that you're present, that you're taking notes, that you're plugging in. If you do that, then we're good to go. All right, cool. Perfect. So guys, with that being said, today, as you know, it's about the one mistake, right? The one mistake 99 out of 100 traders make. And there's got to be one. And I'm sure a lot of you have some hunches. You might have an idea, theory, and this is my perspective, right? Obviously, I don't know for sure, but based on the hundreds of thousands of students that I've seen so far in the last 7 years of like working with people, it's basically the same thing. It's basically the same thing every time. So let me know in the chat, guys, what do you think it is? What do you think is the number one mistake? The one mistake, right, that 99% of traders make. What do you think it is? No journaling. All right, what else you guys got? See, no journaling in the chat. Trading psychology, mindset. A little more specific. FOMO. Okay, see, we're getting a little bit more specific there. Back testing, chasing money, over trading, no stop loss, emotional intelligence, risk management, expectations. Ooh, emotions, breaking your plan, faster money. So we have a lot of good theories. We had actually a lot of good theories here. Faster money, greed, being a copy trader. Let's go. Trading without a plan, trading without it being tested. Okay. We got really good stuff, guys. And everything that you've mentioned, every single thing that you've mentioned so far is valid. Those are all mistakes. But when it comes down to trading mistakes, and especially the most common ones, you're going to notice that it always has a root, right? There's always a foundation to the biggest mistakes, the most critical mistakes that we make. So if we're talking about, let's say you have a mistake of over leveraging, that comes from something, that comes from somewhere. Let's say you have it might be stop loss issues, it might be risk management, it might be just discipline. All of these things, they're usually rooted from somewhere. So a lot of times what we want to do is we want to change. Like, I want to stop over leveraging, or I want to stop over trading. Please, God, help me be disciplined. Help me follow this plan. Or maybe it's strategy and you feel like you just don't have it down yet. And we want to find the answer. But the reality is that it's not, you don't just, let me just stop over leveraging, right? Let me just stop doing this and stop doing that. You have to find the root of these things. And one of the number one, and based off of just like going to the root, having conversations from people of all ages, all walks of life, all skin colors, like every single economic background that you can imagine. I'm talking about people in tens of thousands of dollars in debt to people with hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars to work with. What does it come down to? And it really comes down to expectations. It comes down to expectations. And what we're going to do today is we're going to redefine what trading goals are. And so this is a general idea, redefining trading goals, but then we go deeper, right? We're going to go deeper into that. And what I want to say is this, guys, I asked you guys a couple questions here on this session. I gave you guys a poll, and let me see if I can pull that up somewhere. I had a couple screens here. All right. So I asked you guys a poll, and there's two questions where I asked you, how much time do you give to trading mindset psychology every week? So 3% of you said none. So out of the people that answered so far, which was actually quite a lot of people, hundreds of people, 3% said they give no psychology, no time at all. So that's actually impressive. So shout out to you. That's impressive. About 27% said less than 1 hour. About 54% of you said 1 to 5 hours every week that you invest in mindset, psychology. And then 16% of you said over 5 hours every week you're giving into trading mindset, trading psychology, maybe that's journaling, things like that. And I will say this, if you're on this session with me, then I think those numbers are heavily skewed in the right direction because we preach this all the time. But this is critical. We talk about, Mark Douglas in one of his books, I don't remember which one, he says, trading is 80% psychology, 20% technical, etc., right? Overly simplified. But why is it that we give 80% of our time, 90% of our time to the technicals? 95% of our time goes to the technicals. When one of the greatest, right? One of the greatest trader minds, at least in psychology, he tells us over and over and over again. For the last 8 to 9 years, all I've heard is the same concept, right? 80% is psychology, something like that. So our time should reflect that a little bit better. Now, with that being said, when I ask you guys, what's the number one mistake 99 out of 100 traders make? What's the number one thing? And the number one mistake that they make is that they give their goals a time and price. Now, I know we're trading price and time, but that doesn't mean that our goals need to have a percentage, a dollar amount per week, per quarter, per month, even per year. And that's one of the most common things that we do. One of the most common things that we do wrong is that we're looking to make X percent per week, per month, per day even. And so you have to think about, okay, where does this even come from? Where did the idea of making percentages or dollar amounts, maybe you want to make $100 a day or $1,000 a day, maybe $10 a day, $500 a week, whatever it could be. Where does this come from? Why does this even exist? Who told you that this is how it's supposed to be? So you have to question all those beliefs. And then why do we naturally seek these things? And what I love about trading is this: we risk money to get freedom instead of risking our freedoms to get money. And that's why I love this so much. But in order to do that properly, we have to go even deeper. You don't just immediately start risking money, right, to get that freedom. You don't immediately start having, 2, 3 risk reward, 4, whatever it is. That doesn't happen instantly, right? We have to have the right approach. We have to have the right expectations. And I want to give you guys an example. I was talking to a couple of people over the weekend. We were in Tulum, we were hanging out, and I was giving them, we were eating. And I remembered a story that I had just heard from Jocko Willink, ex-Navy SEAL. And he was telling the story about expectations. And so I want to give you guys, and I want you guys to engage with me a little bit here in the chat. But if you don't know who Jocko Willink is, he's just an animal. He's a machine. Like he wrote a book called Extreme Ownership, and it's insane. If you want to stay disciplined, if you want to be someone who's just impeccable with your word and want to have an amazing perspective on just having full responsibility over your life, regardless of everything, and where you are the circumstance at all times, that is one of my favorite books in that lane. And he has a podcast, so you guys can check that out if you want to. But what I'm getting at is he was telling the story about expectations. And so guys, in the chat, let me know, what's your favorite dessert? What's your favorite dessert? Let me know what y'all do. What do you guys do? Some of y'all pie people, maybe cookies. Some people ice cream. Let's get specific. I'm talking about key lime pie people. What are we doing? Just plain cheesecake, tres leches. All right, cake is a fan favorite here. I can see that. A THC brownie, okay. Banana pudding, Oreos. Let me see where are the bougie people? All right. Matzamorra morada. Y'all getting okay. Tres leches. All right, let's go tres leches. All right, favorite dessert. Someone said Mike's live sessions. I love you, bro. All right, so we'll go with tres leches cake. So let's say, all right, you got a slice of tres leches cake. You're feasting. And you're about halfway through the cake. And I walk in, right? I walk in there and I'm like, yo, who said tres leches actually? Lindsay, right? Yo, Lindsay, tres leches, that's fire. Can I get a bite of that? Now you're just, you've had a bite or two at that point. So when I ask you, yo, can I get a bite of that? You're going to be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Here you go. All right, no worries. Well, it really depends. Most people, right? You have everyone, some of those people are going to be like, you're not getting a bite of this. But most good, kind-hearted people, they'll give you a bite. You're a couple bites in, whatever. But the game changes. The game changes when it's that last bite. If I walk in there, you've been strategically biting around your cake, and you got the last bite left. It's got the perfect ratios. You got every ingredient that you need. It's perfect. It's the perfect bite. And at that point, I walk into the room. Yo, what's going on? What's going on, Lindsay? Yo, how are you? Tres leches. That's my favorite. Can I get a bite of that? Can I get that bite? There's no way. There's no way that you're going to say yes. It's the last bite. Right? It's like there's just a completely different feeling and energy to that moment. Right? Like, let's just be real. Like, all jokes aside, let's just be real. In that instant, all of a sudden that last bite means everything. But what's changed? Like, really, what's changed? It's the same piece of cake. It's just one bite. But what happened in that moment? Why was it okay? Why were there's the willingness to share was 10 times higher in that moment? What changed? It was your expectation. It was your expectation. There was no like higher levels of emotion in the middle bite, in the second bite, the third bite. There was nothing. There was no difference. It was fine. But with the last bite, you were building up that moment the whole time. Right? You were looking forward to having that bite. The reward was way higher. But we created an energy, we created an environment, we created you created that moment. Right? We positioned for that moment to mean way more than anything else. So imagine if I would have texted you, hey, I'm going to be late, but save me a bite of that tres leches cake. What would have happened? You already would have had the expectation. You would have been prepared, and you would have been eating. And you're like, all right, cool. I already know I'm going to just save a bite for Mike. So it's fine. No worries. You'll have your moment still, but you were already ready because I'm going to leave one for him. So what the hell does tres leches cake have to do with trading? The smallest bite. The difference is this, guys. The difference is that, and the connection between that last bite and trading is we have created the last bite in terms of money, in terms of percentages with our trading account. And we've done it over and over and over and over again. Because what's happened is mentally, we've set it up so that if all of these confirmations are set, for those of you that even have a trading plan, if all of these conversations are set in place, if you have this, and this, then you're getting into the market. The problem is the expectations we set for our trading plan is that we're going to win. That because we've even followed our trading plan so far that now we're going to get a bite to eat. We're going to get that last bite. But the reality is that that's not true. We have no control over it at all. So the expectations that we have over our trading plan, over what we're deserving of from the market, and the expectations that we set in terms of money and percentages, and then time, like when am I going to get paid? When am I going to do these things? Those two expectations are the main reasons, the main mistake that most traders make. So when you position yourself to know, or maybe you just have to remind yourself, hey, I already know that I might not get the last bite today. I might not even get a taste of this cake today or even this week. But if I position myself and do these things, I will at least have a shot, and a pretty good one. And so what I want you guys to understand, and this is how we're redefining our trading goals, right? Most traders set their goals as monetary gains, right? Dollar, percentages, whatever, whether it's every day, every week, every month, whatever it is. But you want to ask yourself two things. One, why and when did you start to do this? And you want to write this down, right? Why did I start to have a daily, a dollar amount that I need to make, or a percentage, or every week, every month? Why did this happen? Did I make it up? Did I hear it from somebody through the grapevine? Where did this come from? And then I need you to, at this point, I need you to completely eliminate that expectation, and I need you to replace it. Right? We're going to replace our trading goals for something a little different, because I need you to remember that there are only probabilities in this game. There's nothing for sure. Absolutely nothing. There's nothing more, just probabilities. And so when we know that, then there's like a sense of freedom that comes with that. The moments that seem like they're the most intense, where there's kind of the most weight on the line, you've just put dollars, whether they're real or practice, on the line. You just put your ego on the line too, because every time you execute a trade, your ego is kind of vulnerable. What do you guys think? I feel like that. It's like, oh, this, if I'm right, I feel good. If I'm wrong, not so much. And again, that's not good. But those are situations where your ego can be vulnerable and where your expectations may not be met. So what do? We have to go back. How do I make it so that my expectations are always met? Is that possible? How do I make it so that my ego isn't vulnerable? Is that possible? And so when you know that the outcome of today's trade means absolutely nothing, but the input of what you're doing means everything, all of a sudden the pressure and the weight is in different places. When the trading goal is your discipline, that's something that you can for sure have 100% power over the outcome, right? How meticulous, right? How specific, how to a T did you execute your trading plan? Did you get in? Did you get out? The risk, the trade management. You have 100% control over every single one of those things. That is how you don't have a vulnerable ego, and that's how you can meet your expectations. You have complete power over that. In terms of getting something, you don't. It's impossible. The market's going to do what it's meant to do. That's it. So it's interesting because the unknown, that's where fear really comes from, is the unknown. People think they're afraid. Do I have anybody here right now that's afraid of swimming or afraid of the ocean, the water? Let me know in the chat. Do I have any people here who are like, yo, water, the ocean, the sea is not my thing? All right. Surfing, some people, okay. So out of the people that are like, yo, yeah, I'm hesitant or I'm afraid of the ocean, deep waters. Out of all of you that have answered, I need your help one more time. Do you know how to swim? Do you know how to swim? So out of everyone that said yes, that's something that I fear. Actually, let me know if you know how to swim and say yes or no. Yes. Interesting. So a lot of you know how to swim. Okay. Someone said Cubans aren't afraid of the water. Y'all are funny. So you know how to swim, but you're afraid of the ocean. Okay. All right. So we're not afraid of the water, right? You have power over this, over where you're going to go. So what are you afraid of? Is it because it's seemingly infinitely deep? Is it because you don't know for sure if there's a shark in the water, if there's something that you don't want to have anything to do with? You don't know for sure, right? It's Shark Week next week. Someone said sharks, darkness. So I just want you to at least shift the awareness of your fears. It's not that you're afraid of the ocean, because this is really important. You're not afraid of the ocean. You're not afraid of even maybe you're not even afraid that it's deep. What you're afraid of is that you just don't know. You don't know for sure what's in there. But you do have power over quite a few things. Your ability to swim, right? You can literally check if these are shark infested waters or not. But you're not afraid of the ocean. And how we define our fears, our doubts, our hesitations, how we define these things, it changes how you approach all of these things, because then you can start to find solutions. You can start to understand where these things come from. So it's the unknown that you're afraid of. Where does being fearful of the unknown come from? And that comes from someone. Is there a situation in your life where the unknown led to a negative result? You went somewhere you weren't supposed to, something happened. Abandonment issues. Maybe you had a parent leave and you didn't expect that. And I know I went real deep real quick, but that's the true problem. In that situation, in the fearing of the water, of the ocean, it's not that you're afraid of the ocean. The ocean has nothing to do with it. It's that you just don't know what's there. And so usually these are control issues. If you find that you're afraid of the unknown and you also find that I need to have control over every single situation, every aspect of my life, of certain things, like you have obsessive need for control, then it is the unknown that you're running away from. And ironically, it's the unknown that has the biggest reward. Now, obviously, there's a risk and reward to this idea. You're not going to, like you want to use your common sense. But in the unexplored, in the situations, in the unknown, that's where you're going to get the biggest lessons, right? The only reason that you're here right now is because there was a moment where you explored the unknown. You didn't know what trading was, but you were curious enough to go find out. Okay. And this happens over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. There was a moment, right? There was a moment you didn't know who I was. You might not know who I am right now, and that's fine. But you explored the unknown and you're like, let me listen to this guy. What's there to say? There was a moment at one point where you had never made $1,000, even in your jobs. But you went and found out. What if I did give my time to make money? What if I risk money to make time or to get access to freedom and options? So the unknown has so much treasure in it. But we have to redefine our trading goals, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a known outcome, percentage, dollars, money. but we can't. We don't have control over that. So you have to detach from the uncontrollable, right? And you have to connect with the discipline. That's what pays you. Remember, you pay yourself. Here's a key thing too. The market doesn't pay you. The market does not pay you. You pay yourself through the markets over a long period of time. You're not paying yourself through the markets every day. No, you don't know who you are as a trader based on what happened in a day or what even happens in a week, barely what even happens in a month. But what you do over a quarter, what you do over a year, yeah, that's when you really kind of, that's a decent idea of who you really are as a trader and maybe what you should be getting paid as a trader. So accept the fact that there are uncontrollable and unpredictable outcomes. And the unknown, that's what causes the most emotions that lead to the most mistakes. But the unknown is also what causes the most emotions that leads to the biggest breakthroughs. Ironically, the unknown is the exact reason that you can be calm and detached. Because if you have no idea what's going to happen, then you can just let go. You can surrender. Oh, cool. You know what? I'm going to follow this plan that based on based on this data, based on what I'm learning, this is supposed to work. Cool. Let me just do this. Let me just do this for 50 trades, 100 trades. We'll see what happens. Because I know that I don't know. So when you shift the perspective and you realize, I have no idea if it's going to play out right now, but I will have a much better idea of how this is going to work when I have 50 trades, 100 trades, disciplined under my belt. So you want to have, and this is where you can bold it, underline it, circle it. You want to have process-based goals. Your goals are based out of the things that you do. That's it. Now I know it's a little bit, it's going to be difficult at first, or it's going to feel difficult. It's not, but it's going to feel like it because our whole lives we're being conditioned to, we've been rewarded. We've been positively reinforced that, hey, you got to get everything right. I need all the right answers and I need all the right outcomes right away, but this is not that. And you need to understand that. You need to accept that. So focus on your input, not your outcome. All right. Focus on your input, not your outcome. When you eliminate the short-term perspective completely, you just let go of whatever is happening today and this week. And you're only focused on, all right, what's this going to look like in a month, 60 days, 90 days, in a year, and even further, you're golden. But when we are just looking at the outcomes of today, of the week, it's kind of like scalping. It's very hard to keep up with, and it might not be. It's like looking at the market on the 15-second time frame. You don't actually have a good perspective on what's going on, what's the big picture. Right? If you're on the 1 minute, on the seconds time frames, you can't see the truth. You can't see reality. You only have a small perspective. You only have a very, very zoomed in view on what's really happening. So long-term game, baby. This is the infinite game. Now, how do we start to do this? Right? Like I told you, you want to have 50, 100 trades, and you want to have those trades doing the same things and making sure that you're learning whether things are working or they're not. And here's what you do, right? You use your trading journal. So you want to keep track of what are all the things that here's my plan. Now, am I following this plan? When I am following this plan, what does this look like? After 50 trades, 100 trades, what do we have here? And then how often am I not doing those things? Why am I not doing those things? So your trading journal should be based around who you are and what you are doing. You're going to track the outcomes. Okay. You know, how much did I make? What are the percentages? What is the, dollar amount? What's my win rate, risk reward? You're going to keep track of those things because they matter. They're important, but they don't define you. They just help you, right? They help you reposition yourself. They help you so that you can reroute your plan. Because if you just completely forgot about how much money you want to make, but you only did the right things, guess what? You're probably going to do that. You're probably going to do it. Because your desire alone isn't what gets the results. It's desire times the work. So you want to monitor, right, who and what you're doing. But also, you want to pay attention to who and what has your attention. Where's that going? Because expectations come from you, but they can also, it can be leaked from other people. So does someone else have weight on your mind, on your emotions, on your expectations? And is that kind of shifting what you should be doing? Are you, kind of like setting a time, an expiration date to what you want to do just because of what someone else thinks that you should be doing? Because the funniest things about expectations are the people who understand you the least, the people who understand this career, this income, the people who understand this the least usually have the loudest opinions. But how could 99.9% of people understand something than 0.0001% of people do? How could most people even possibly have the right perspective on this income stream if it's not even designed for the majority of people to understand it? Right? So look, guys, if you find yourself, creating the right expectations, and then there's good habits and there's bad habits. It's pretty simple. Well, there's habits that are taking you closer to where you want to go, and there's habits that are delaying what you deserve. And the way that has helped me a lot with good habits is doing the following. I bring the delayed gratification to the present. So if I want to really reinforce a positive habit like proper risk management, like, waiting for all my confirmations to get in. If I want to reinforce that habit, then I'm going to bring what I know is going to happen eventually. I'm just going to bring that to the present. So let's say that, you're trading so that you can have the freedom of location, so that you can be in Bali and having an acai bowl and taking your setups. So you can go surf. So you can go do whatever you want. So what you got to do is you got to bring that to the present, because then you remember, oh, that's right. What I do leads to this eventually over a long enough period of time. But if you have a bad habit that you're looking to get rid of, let's say it's removing your stop loss, let's say it's over leveraging, then you have to bring the consequences of that moment to the present. So you're right before you trade, before you look at the charts, just remember what's the most common reason, right? What's the most common reason that things go sideways? Maybe it's over leveraging. So then bring the consequence of over leveraging to the present. Imagine your mom at 75 years old, still working for somebody else. And then keep that right there. Keep that like right here. That image is right here. Some dude is yelling at your mom to go work, do something. All of a sudden, why is that happening? That's because you've been over leveraging for years now. So the consequence of the over leveraging is that people don't have the freedoms that they could have. All of a sudden you bring the consequences, or you see yourself still bored out of your mind at a job that you don't like. Maybe that hits different. And you just see yourself at 40 years old and you're like, oh my God, like an Office Space moment. So bring the consequence of a bad habit to the present, and then bring, right, the reward of a good habit to the present. So you're kind of just, you're using your imagination and you're pulling, and you're kind of basically using a time machine. Now, with that being said, guys, look, what I'm really getting at is the results of today, of the week, of the month, they don't matter. For the majority of you, they do not matter yet. Now, once you can prove to yourself that you're disciplined, that you know how to follow a plan, that you genuinely know how to follow that, you know, you've gotten rid of a lot of those paradigms, you've become someone who's less impulsive, then cool, you got 50 trades and they're quality trades. Now the results do matter, because now is where we start to work on the edge and start to adjust certain things so that you have a better outcome. But until you can actually be disciplined for 50 trades, then it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't even matter, because who cares how good your plan is if you can't even follow it for more than 5 trades? Let's just be real. Let's just be real. Who cares if your charts are a piece of art with beautiful risk to reward, but you can't even you can't even take a loss like a champ. You lose a few times and all of a sudden you're just destroyed. So it doesn't matter how good your plan is. No. What matters is how good are you at taking your plan. That's the first part. All right. So it doesn't matter how good your plan is if you're not even good at taking your plan. So once you have that discipline, cool. Now we'll start to focus on building an edge and doing those things. So guys, with that being said, I hope this gave you the proper expectation, the proper mindset. I hope you realize the one mistake 99% of traders make is that their trading goals are based off of money percentages, when it should be based on the quality of your decisions. It should be based on your discipline. So appreciate all of you for spending some time with me on this Monday. All throughout the week, you guys have so much value on our live sessions. If you took notes, share them in your groups. If you enjoyed this, you guys can go ahead and share this. The recording will be available on my YouTube here shortly. So send this out. But most importantly, guys, stay disciplined. Everything else will come. But if you just do the right things, it's impossible not to get it. But much love, guys. I'll see y'all very, very soon.